Good day and welcome back to you all at Hot.
Oh, nah, you done fucked up because I don't know how to do no British accent. You on that by yourself.
Not at all? Okay, what accent do you know how to do?
None.
Oh, bitch. I tried to help. I tried.
I don't know how to do any.
Today, we are almost done with this book. Actually, sorry.
Facts.
Pause, rewind. I am almost done with this book.
Ashley's done with this book.
Ashley's done with this book and just waiting for us to move on to our next book, which we might as well already mention because...
Yes, please do, because everybody's voted.
You listeners, you are obsessed with this series.
I mean, I'm obsessed with this series, so I
So
get
am
the
I.
obsession.
So am I, and I completely get the obsession. Maybe when I read the cliffhanger, I'll be like, oh shit, yeah, we definitely need to go back into book 3.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I'm like, oh okay, I really want to read something else and then come back into Sarah J. Maas. And we had a poll go up and had people vote, and they were like, nah, bitch.
In all honesty, I finished the book, and I'm letting you know, we would have gone into the third book because of the cliffhanger. Because of the cliffhanger. Yeah. The cliffhanger that we thought we should have gotten at the end of a Court of Thorns and Roses is the cliffhanger we got in this book.
Oh, bitch. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know what I'll be doing after editing this weekend.
Reading.
So we'll get into that a little bit later. But today we are discussing chapters 49 through 59.
Correct.
49 through 59, Ashley. And
okay.
So starting off with chapter 49, it is the morning after the KFC episode.
So the morning afterglow is amazing. It's amazing.
Bitch is looking all regal.
Reese is still cleaning off his fingers. We good.
Oh, stop! So basically, Feyre, of course, has to ruin the moment by asking Reese, why did you make that bargain with me? I'm like, oh, bitch, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter now.
No, I feel like she asked this question because what she expected was a specific answer. Like, she asked the question with an expectation. And Reese gave her the answer that is practical. In all honesty, what did she tell him? She told him, I'm just looking for fun and distraction.
Exactly. So why would he come at you with oh, Feyre, I'm in love
poetry. Why would he come at you with poetry and love and things if you just sat there and you were like, I'm just looking for fun and distraction?
Exactly, because I sure as hell wouldn't have put my heart out there looking for that shit to get squandered and squashed. No. But then she gets kind of upset because that's not the answer that she wanted. But it's like, girl, you're holding back your feelings too. You can't expect him to be 100% honest and open up if you're not going to be 100% honest and open up either. And
here's the dilemma with Feyre, I'm realizing. Feyre has expectations for other people to make her feel a certain type of way.
Yes.
And she doesn't do the same.
She says that she doesn't want to be coddled and stuff like that. And she says that she can do shit on her own. But then you do shit like this and you make me feel like I'm stupid for believing in you as a main character.
Correct.
What happened after that? Oh, neither of them talked about what happened the entire day. They leave the inn. They go to train, I think, and stuff like that. And they're not talking. Eventually, he tries to start a conversation, Reese, and then he stops, he clamps his mouth shut, he really wants to tell her something, but kind of thinks better of it.
Yeah.
And when they're flying through the sky, Feyre's like, okay, I'll break the silence. What's up? What's good? What's wrong? And he says, there's something I have to tell you, but basically, I'm afraid I don't know how you'll think of me. And this was the sweetest line ever. She was like, I don't walk away, Reese.
Not from you. And then they're shot out the sky.
And then they're fucking ambushed. And I was like, oh my fucking God, no. And of course they're ash arrows. So the people that attack them.
Who are these people that have so much ash arrows?
Bro, where do they get these ash arrows from? At first I was like, are they humans? Because if they're touching these ash arrows, they have to be humans. But no, we find that out later, of course. And Reese, as he's plummeting to the ground, tosses Feyre to the side so she doesn't hit the ground with him. And so she's not captured with him. And Feyre is freaking out. She's calling out to him through their bond, but she can't hear them. Yeah. And she fucking snaps. She's like, I'm gonna find him. And whoever did this to him, I'm gonna fucking kill everybody. I was like, oh,
Yo,
shit.
it was like a switch. She like, it was like, at first she was super like concerned about Reese and where Reese was, and I gotta find him and things like that. And then she was like, fuck it, I'm gonna slaughter every person.
Bro, everybody. She was like, let the bodies hit the floor. I was like, fuck them up, sis.
So then what ends up happening is she uses the bond to track Reese. And when she does track him, she finds him with a bunch of like soldiers and stuff. And they have our boy like strung up like a slab of meat.
Oh my God.
And they're whipping the shit out his back.
It's so bad. It's
really bad.
And they have him chained up with these things that stop him from using his magic.
Right, which is why he couldn't leave and do anything in regards to like saving himself. And it's also the reason why Feyre couldn't really feel the bond as much, you know, before. Oh, also, Feyre winnows this entire chapter.
She winnows her whole way back to finding him.
Yep.
And I was like, oh shit, bitch was determined. Like,
she was determined.
Like
she was
you said, at first she was super concerned, she was afraid, and then she snapped into that, oh fuck no.
Yeah.
Not my mans.
So then what ends up happening is when she sees how they have Reese, that whole scene clicks in her head and she's like, I'm killing every single guard I see. And she slaughters every single
like, to
guard.
the throat. Like they don't even get to scream, turn around, nothing. She's like,
Cassian would be so proud.
He
so
would.
Proud.
He would be so proud. It's like
same would be Azriel. Azriel would be like, my girl.
Right.
My girl.
So yeah, she's able to get him down and she winnows them back to a cave that she saw earlier. When she's in there, she's like, I have to take the arrows out.
So he feels every movement as she's trying to saw off the arrows.
Yeah.
To which then she decides, okay, how do I distract him? So she starts talking to him about her painting the surfaces in her house in the mortal realm.
Yeah.
I think it's very telling what she says that she painted for every person. And then she says for herself, well, Reese asks her, you know, what does she paint for herself? And she says, I painted the night sky.
Yeah, she was like, I wonder if all this time, you know, that has been leading me to you. And I was like, she knew. She knew.
She definitely knew.
And Reese was like, oh, I've been looking for you too. And then passed the fuck out.
Passes out. I know, that was it. On to chapter 50. So then Feyre sleeps with him for body heat to like make sure that, you know, he doesn't have a fever or things like that. The ash obviously is poison to him.
Mm-hmm.
So she tries to figure out, she's like, okay, how do I save him? Ultimately, she figures out, you know what? I gotta go catch a Suriel because they'll be able to tell me the exact thing that I need to know in order to save him.
That motherfucker is a walking encyclopedia.
This dude is Gossip Girl. This dude is Gossip Girl for Perinthian.
He is.
He is Gossip Girl for Perinthian, most definitely.
Okay, my thing too, I didn't know. From the first book, I thought they were smaller. I didn't know that they were as big as her.
No, yeah.
I did not know. For some reason, I don't know why I didn't picture it. I pictured it as like a groundhog-ish size.
So what she does is she ends up taking her new cloak. Because if we remember back in A Court of Thorns and Roses, Alice tells her, listen, bitch, you could have just taken something that was precious to you, something that like was worth money, and basically bargained with it. So that's what she does this time around. So she takes her cloak with her and she puts it out in a trap, and then she's a little further distance away so like she can shoot an arrow just in case. And the thing shows up. No issues, no problem. He just shows up. So immediately she starts asking him questions. And he's like, of course, going off in a riddle type of way. And she's like, no, I need you to be
She's like, I don't have time for this
riddles.
shit. He's like, oh, right, because, you know, da-da-da-da. What does he say? He says...
So basically she says, she asks for help on how to like heal him or whatever. And then he says, if you wish to speed your mate's healing.
Exactly. She was like, all right, cool. What the
Hold
fuck
up.
did you just say?
You're not about to speed past that. Like you didn't just say what you just said.
Mate.
The Suriel's like looking at her. He's like, oh, you ain't know.
It's like, I never know.
And she was like, right, I'm clueless till I talk to you.
Oh my God.
So then what ends up happening is he ends up explaining to her. Basically, she says, say it again. And he's like, the High Lord of the Night Court is your mate.
Hot damn. Now who called it?
Like, did
of
you?
Of course I did. This
Did
bitch, me. Oh wait, or did you call it? Ah, fuck. No, I think you called it.
But I snared you into my conspiracy theory because I like sat there and I was like, what if it's snapped into place for Reese,
but not for Feyre.
But it hasn't snapped into place for Feyre.
And when this was confirmed,
because that made so much sense, because as we explained before in the last episode, I was like, it just makes so much sense that he would be her mate because he's so patient with her and he's so considerate of her and he's so like, you know, it was just a shift. It was a shift from the character that we remember under the mountain.
It was.
And I was like, there's definitely something there that like we haven't taken into consideration, we haven't really thought about. And nobody confirmed it until this chapter where the Suriel was like, yeah, so the High Lord of the Night Court is your mate, XOXO Gossip Girl. I was like, not the XO. The Suriel confirms Reese has known this shit for a year. This is why she's angry. Because she spent a whole year. I'm not defending. I'm just stating facts. And he knew for that entire time that she was his mate and not Tamlin's.
But my thing is, Feyre, were you not in love with somebody else? Did you just expect him to pop up and be like, hey, I'm your mate? And then she would have rejected the mating bond. Like, oh, no, I'm good, thanks. And then where would he be?
Right.
Fucking devastated. Feyre, you're so goddamn selfish. He was doing it to protect not only himself, but also to protect you. Because you're not ready for the truth. As much as you think you are, as much as you beg for honesty, you're not ready for it.
Yeah, so then what ends up happening is, so she, after talking to Suriel and realizing that she's Reese's mate, she ends up going back to the cave. She ends up going back to the cave, and Reese is awake. He's looking at her, and she's looking at him. She chucks the flower at him, because she's angry. Then she's like, eat that, and then we're gonna have a talk. Oh, she also feeds him her blood so that he'll heal up quicker. He looks at her, and he's like, okay, what's going on? And then she asks the question, and she's like, how long have you known that I've been your mate? And he's like, shit. He doesn't even answer it. He's just like, oh, fuck. You went and talked to Suriel.
I can't. But she's so fucking mad at him.
Her reaction.
It's just like, it was way too big. It was completely unnecessary. Like, I get that you're angry, but he has valid reasons for, again, why he didn't tell you.
No, but like, not for nothing. It's just the fact being that you're angry at somebody who's injured, who was just really brutally injured. And you're pissed off because he didn't tell you that you're his mate. Can we handle one problem at a time? Let's handle the fact that his back is jacked up.
His wings are all torn up. He was poisoned.
He's still trying to right, exactly. He's still trying to heal from this traumatic situation.
On the precipice of death.
But you...
And she's like,
but you want to sit there...
Why did you tell me you were in love with me? I'm angry, bitch. Like,
exactly. So basically, Feyre takes it out on Reese right then and there, and she's like, winnow us back to the Illyrian camp.
First off, she knows his magic is being tracked. And she's been winnowing this whole fucking time. Why the fuck can't she do it? This bitch is so annoying.
Self-centered. Okay, so then she basically tells him, winnow us back to Illyrian camp. This moves into chapter 51. When they get to the Illyrian camp after they winnowed, Reese basically falls face first into the mud because he can't even hold himself up.
Right.
Feyre leaves him in the fucking mud. I was not okay with this. I was so pissed off at this whole thing. She leaves him in the mud. Cassian and Moore come out of the cabin. Feyre stops Moore and she's like, winnow me out of here. I don't want to be here. And Moore is looking at her, then looking at Reese, and then looking at her, and she's like, please, winnow me out. And as she's saying that, her voice is breaking. I don't know if that was supposed to generate some type of sympathy from us, but I'm still preoccupied and worried about Reese in the back.
Not after you just said, I don't walk away, not from you. And here you are, bitch, walking away. I was like, I don't understand why she's acting like this when she literally said herself that she was going to tell Reese about the feelings that she had for him. And now she's mad that she finally found out that those feelings are reciprocated.
I think maybe it's also thinking about it. Maybe she thinks the mating bond, those feelings aren't genuinely hers because of the mating bond.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So, like, at least with Tamlin, we knew she loved him because she loved him. But like with Reese, initially we were thinking she's falling in love with him of her own accord. But now that we know that there's been a mating bond in place this entire time, she's probably thinking, are my feelings even genuine? Because he's known for a year that this mating bond has been into place. And it's been a year and I've had this, undeniable attraction to him. And I haven't been able to figure out why.
But I mean,
and now
doesn't
I know
the mating
why.
bond just make those feelings stronger? Because you can.
I don't know. I guess it's the way you view it.
You can choose to ignore it. Like Tamlin might, well, in the theory, chose to ignore that. So it's just like we said, I just felt like her reaction was way, way overdone. Way overdone for the situation.
No, I agree. The reaction she had was over the top for the situation that went down. She could have made sure that Reese was okay, stayed at the Illyrian camp, and then once he was healed up, had a civil and calm conversation with him about the mating bond and just figured it out from there. Instead, Feyre is hot-headed and she was just like, I gotta go be by myself.
And that goes right into chapter 52, right?
Basically, Moore drops her off at the end of chapter 51 at their family's cabin. So basically, the inner circle only knows about this cabin. Then we get into part 3, which is the House of Mist.
Oh, yeah.
And now we get into chapter 52.
I felt like it was just a lot of reflection.
Yeah. Basically, it was more of Feyre just reflecting on what she found out, how she feels about it, whether or not she accepts it, and then moving on from there. Moore does come to visit, and Feyre starts to paint the cabin.
Now, I want to say, yay Feyre for painting again. But are we just supposed to ignore the fact that this bitch literally said, oh, there were so many canvases? And then she paints on the cabin walls.
She starts painting the walls.
I'm like, who told this bitch?
It's not even her cabin.
It's not even you're so disrespectful. Oh my God.
It's not even her cabin.
Who the fuck told this bitch you could draw on the walls of my home? Oh, I can't. Get her out of here.
So she basically stays there, I think, for 3 days?
Yeah, she stays there for 3 days while she's reflecting on everything. At first, she isn't realistic. Like, she's like, oh, Reese should have known how I felt and stuff like this. I'm like, okay, yes, he's a mind reader, but he also wants to give you privacy, so don't do that. But she does come to the conclusion that she's like, it wouldn't be so bad to be Reese's mate.
I mean...
And I was like, duh, bitch.
No.
Throw it over. I'll take it.
And then we move on to chapter 53. And Moore stayed over.
Yeah.
And of course, she made sure that Feyre had food to eat and was, good to go before Moore left. And then
more reflection.
What ends up happening?
It's honestly, that was all of chapter 50, 52, and 53 was just a lot of reflection from Feyre and her coming to terms with her future. Like, she can see a future with Rhysand. And so
exactly, that was the whole point.
It was just the whole point of those chapters. It's like, okay, I think I'm finally giving in and I'm accepting this, and this is what I want.
And at the end of chapter 53, somebody knocked on the door and she thought it was Moore. So when she went to go check it, she opened the door. It was not Moore. We move on to chapter 54, and it was Daddy Reese. Daddy Reese.
And
he's found her.
He has. And so he's looking at her and she's like, fine, you can come in.
It's my cabin. When he walks in, he looks at all the surface and he's like, this bitch done painted my whole fucking cabin.
Bro, you know what I imagine? Him walking in there with his face like, oh, this is...
Oh, shit.
This is nice. I'm so glad you're painting. Why the fuck is it on the wall?
So then, basically, it's a little awkward between them because neither one of them wants to approach the elephant in the room.
But it does happen eventually, and she asks him if he's hungry.
Wait.
I want to get to that. I want to get to that.
Okay.
She asked him if he's hungry, and he was like, you would make me food? And she's like, I mean, I'm not going to make you anything. I'm going to heat up some soup because there's some soup here, so I'll put it on the stove.
I don't know how to cook, but I know how to heat up stuff.
And he says to her, in the old days, when a woman made you food, which I was like, ugh, ew. But when a woman made you food, that means that they accepted the mating bond. He was like, are you accepting that? She's like, we'll see. We will see about it.
This is a decision. So when she says that, she's like, tell me the story. Tell me everything.
Yeah.
So we get the entire story from Reese's perspective everything. Yes.
Yes. And he was actually going to kill ambidextrine. He was going to kill her. I don't even know if that's a word at this point. He was going to kill ambidextrine at that party under the mountain.
Oh, that's why nobody else was there. That's why Cassian wasn't there, Azriel, Moore, Amran, none of them were there. He was planning to kill this woman on his own and take on the consequences, however they might be. That's how he ended up stuck under the damn mountain.
With his power stripped away from him. And he used the very little bit of power that he had left to wipe Valaris from the minds of everybody at the
Court of Nightmares.
The Night Court that knew. At the Court of Nightmares, yeah.
But then he also used that little bit of power to reach out to Moore, Cass, and Az, and Amran to let them know, listen, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
I need you guys to take care of Valaris while I'm away.
And then he talks about him and
Amarantha.
I've run out of words.
Amarantha. Amy. How come we never called her Amy?
Amidant. Because Amidant. Because when I called her Amanda, people with the name Amanda got offended. So I have to make up other names for this bitch now. Somebody on TikTok was like, as an Amanda, I vote for Anthrax. Like, call her Anthrax. So Amidant, basically, that's when he talks about her taking him on as her personal servant. Or her personal, pretty much.
Wait. No. Wait, because this is the thing. He got captured by Amarantha twice. So, he was captured by Amarantha during the war when his father fought, I think, or something like that. And he was super young. When it happened. Amarantha could care two shits about him. She, like, chained him up, him and his forces, and she killed every one of his soldiers in front of him. So, that's what happened. Then, because Tamlin had killed his dad, she realized who he was. And that's how he ended up becoming Amarantha's whore under the mountain.
Exactly. And he was trying to say, like, at first he was trying to, like, keep hope alive, but after a while he kind of gave up and gave in. And, like, gave into becoming her plaything. And then he started having these dreams about a certain mortal, like, doing random things, like painting or...
But at first, these dreams were foggy, he says.
Yeah, they were very foggy.
Yeah. He couldn't pinpoint what she really looked like or, like, what the surroundings were, but they were just kind of foggy. Then it wasn't until Calanmai?
I think it's Calanmai. I think it was Calanmai. Where he had another dream about her, but it was clearer now because she was on the other side of the wall. She was actually in Perithian.
First off, that's when he realized she was mortal. And then he realized that the wall was what was basically fogging up his visions of her. So when he went to the festival, when he got there, he knew exactly who she was. He knew exactly where she would be. And that was why when he said, I've been looking for you, it's because he's been fucking looking for her.
He meant it. Well, wait. Also, he says when he was laying in the bedroom and he, like, woke up from that dream of, like, the girl who was painting when she was still over the wall, he said he sent that image of the night and the stars to her. And that is why she painted it on her dresser drawer. I can't.
It was a lot. It was a lot of stuff.
She pretty much is listening to this while she's staring and heating up the suit and letting everything sink in. And basically, Rhys has a reason for everything that he had done from the time that he had met her up until now. And it made so much, made so much sense when you hear his story and then go back and think about everything that happened in the Court of Thorn and Roses. And you're like, oh shit, like, they were destined to be together. Feyre hands him the soup and she's like, well, are you going to eat? And he looks like he's almost about to cry. She accepted the mating bond!
Oh, he also says that it was him who basically when everything went down at the end with Amarantha, and Amarantha killed Feyre, like, he felt the mating bond, and he was like, it was him that was keeping her there. Because if we remember, what she told the bone carver was, when he asked about death or whatever, she said, I was floating out there, but the end of it felt like home. And it's because Rhys was at the end of that mating bond. So Rhys felt like home to her, and she didn't realize it back then. And then basically he said that he's the reason that her soul basically floated around, and he's the reason that all of the other High Lords gave a little bit of themselves to bring Feyre back. He went into their minds and kind of just pushed the idea that they needed to, you know, give.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like,
exactly.
I would have forced them to do it.
Yeah.
Damn the consequences. I was like, oh.
He also talks about, remember how you were like, he must have realized something because he had like stepped back but like stumbled? That was the moment when the mating bond snapped into place, when he winnowed back to Valaris. And that's when he was like telling Mor, she's my mate, she's my mate, she's my mate. And like, he just knew. He also says that the day of her wedding, he knew the day of her wedding, he was planning to get rip-roaring drunk with Cass. Nobody else knew why he was planning to get drunk except for Mor. But he was just like, I'm just going to get drunk and fuck the consequences or whatever.
And then he felt her saying like, save me, save me. He was like,
yep,
I'm on my way.
Here I come. Also, you also said, I want to know when was the moment he fell in love with her. The moment he fell in love with her was when she threw the fucking bone at Amarantha, at her dress. And he was like, I knew at that exact moment that I loved you. At that exact moment. I was like...
And then we get to tell everything. And all I have to say, bitch, all I have to say, you are mine.
So, chapter 55 is spicy time. Spicy time between Rhys and Feyre. Spicy, messy paint.
Now, the only thing I was concerned
really
about is that she said the paint got everywhere. And I'm like, everywhere?
He's hilarious, though, because he takes the paint and he paints an arrow.
Yes! Oh,
going down.
Yes!
Where he was like, okay, unless you forget, you know, where this is gonna end. I'm like, ain't nobody forgetting where this shit started or where it's ending.
Me.
Like,
we will not forget. So, yeah, I was like, that's all I had to say from that chapter. You are mine. I was like, oh, I love it. They also talk about, like, because they've been at it for a while, and he's like, I think it's like from the mating bond, like the old days, people would go at it to try to impregnate the female.
Oh, wait. So during one of their sessions, she glows.
Yeah.
She glows. And he's like, at least I can say that I literally make my mate glow.
But why did she turn into a goddamn night lamp?
She definitely did a whole fucking night lamp for him.
Bitch, I can't, but okay, it's cute.
All I have to say is, next time a wall would be nice.
He was like, yeah, next time, but right now we have to go meet the Mortal Queens. And I was like, damn.
Oh my God. Yeah, like that was so ruined. Because then he was like, we got to go meet the Mortal Queen. She's like, why didn't you say something earlier? He was like,
we were distracted earlier. Do you want me to say something like while we're in the, like, no, bitch. So that moves into chapter 56. And they get back to the Illyrian camp. And oh my God, Cass
was perfect. Cass was perfect. He already had this plan. He already was ready to put up his hair. He was like, we're going at this. He was like, Feyre looks pretty normal. You obviously didn't ride her hard enough. I was like, dude.
But the reason we realize is because Rhys explains in the previous chapter, he's like, once the mating bond is accepted and snaps into place for both people, they become very territorial of each other. And any little thing that is said could set Rhys off, could set Feyre off. So they stayed away from people for a while and then went back to the Illyrian camp. And Cass had the whole plan, like you said, to get under his skin so that he could get all that anger out before they went to see the queens.
Cass is a true friend. Cass is a true friend because he likes that. He's like, listen, we gonna whip each other's ass, but we gonna make sure that this frenzy is down. Like it's not gonna interfere with anything.
Right? Because imagine they said something about Feyre when they got to the Mortal Queens, and Rhys snapped all of their necks. Like oops.
So they end up going back to Valaris to pick up everybody else, and this is where everybody else swears their allegiance to Feyre because she's Rhys's mate, and Feyre's just like, listen, I don't need y'all allegiance. Friendship is fine. And like more is like, you have that, but you also have our protection as well. And I was like, oh,
You guys, stop it. So, and then after dinner, they head to the mortal lands. So we get into chapter 57. And they're at Feyre's old estate with her sisters and shit like that. They show the queens Valaris using the truth orb.
It's only
There's
two.
Only, yes.
It's
yes.
only two queens.
That as well. And they're like, oh, the other ones didn't want to come because we were insulted. And then one of them is sick. And I was like, that sounds like a cover up and
it's
a bunch
really
of bullshit to me.
It's sounding real suspicious.
Very suspicious. So he shows her Valaris. The queens are basically like, thank you for that. We'll consider your offer. We'll consider giving you the book. So they're all going back and forth with them, like all this shit, trying to make them understand, like, this is very important. And all of a sudden, Rhys just stops talking. It turns out that when the queens winnow away or winnow out, so she says that she actually left behind a box which contained the other half of the book and a note in it as well. She was like, your letter really touched me. Please, like, you know, use this book in the best way possible and shit like that. I think, or I don't know, do you think that the queens have a deal? Like, they cut a deal with Hybern and be like, okay, you can have, like, these mortal lands, but this you don't touch.
Right. And that would make sense as to why they weren't, like you said, weren't bothered about losing those lands that are close to Perinthian. Also, so, like, they threatened Nesta, and Cassian basically kind of went in front of her and was like, no, dog, you're going to have to get through me.
Yeah, and because Nesta is blowing a gasket right now. She's calling them all types of bitches.
Facts.
All types of bitches. And she's like, she's so worked up that she's on the verge of tears, and Cassian comes over to her, and he, like, I think he strokes her face or something, like wipes her tear away.
And he strokes her face, wipes her tears, and he's basically like, I will fight for your people. I will die for your people. And, like, Feyre's looking at them, and she's like,
fuck did this happen?
Right.
Feyre's like, wait a damn minute.
What happened to Moore? You're like, what happened to Moore? Like,
Feyre's like, I have confusion. Somebody explain.
She's like, I wasn't gone that long in the damn cabin.
Right,
what the fuck happened? Yeah.
Yeah, so y'all not going to, like, we're not going to glaze over that.
They're mates. I can, that most definitely, yes. So then, once they get the other half of the book, Rhys he tells Nesta and Elaine, he's like, listen, I am offering you guys right now, you can come to Valaris with us. You can stay in Valaris with us. Basically, Elaine wants to stay. Nesta's like, I'm going to stay for Elaine.
Man, fuck your fiance. He's not
We could find you a high lord in Perinthian. You don't got to be sitting with no damn mortal.
But no, you want to be a basic bitch.
Basically. So Rhys basically is like, okay, if you ever change your mind, he's like, I'm going to put sentries around the home. And you can, you know, let the sentry know, listen, I changed my mind. And they will take you to Valaris.
Also, where the fuck is their dad at? He's gone.
He's still on the continent. He's still on the continent. But then there's a really cute line. Well, not a cute line, but it's a really nice line at the end where it says Nesta looked between Rhys and Cassian and then Feyre. And then she basically tells Feyre, this was why you painted stars on your drawer. Like, Nesta knew. Nesta automatically was like, Rhys is why you painted
now she's
stars
starting to get it
on your
because
drawer.
this bitch done fell in love with Cassian.
All right, so we move on to chapter 58. Basically, everybody returns back to Valaris. Amran has had the book for 2 days, and she still hasn't been able to crack the code. So they're kind of like, well,
what we gonna do? They're pretty much like sitting around twiddling their thumbs, trying to find like different stuff to keep themselves entertained. Because Rhys has gone away to, I think, the Court of Nightmares with Moore.
And Amran is still trying to do the book, so that leaves 2 Illyrians.
Amran is like, don't bother me.
Unless it's to give me blood. So then, basically, that leaves 2 Illyrians and Feyre. So that leaves Cass and Azriel with Feyre. And Feyre says, she's like, I know that they were hanging around to make sure, 1, I wasn't lonely, and 2, to make sure I was okay. I was like, I love these guys even more.
I know. We're the 3 best friends that anyone could ever have. Honestly, that's what they were. Like,
Oh my
Cassian even
God.
takes her to like the symphony or something like that.
Oh yeah, so then Azriel has to leave to do some spy master stuff. And so that leaves Cass and Feyre alone, and Cass takes her to the symphony. While they're there though, while they take that walk,
the shit hits the
no, not only that,
fan.
before the shit hits the fan, Feyre starts to talk to Cass about Nesta.
Bruh, she needs to stop. She needs to stop because he gets automatically defensive, kind of like Moore does. She's like,
yeah.
He's like, why are you telling me this? She's like, I'm just telling you, like, Nesta appreciates your help, and you know.
And she's never gonna forget. She's never gonna forget that you offered to protect the person that she adores the most. That you offered to protect the people that she adores the most.
It's like Elena's her fucking daughter.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I don't. To be honest, it's a little odd to me, that sisterly bond, because she doesn't have it with Feyre.
About Feyre.
Yeah, like it's a little weird to me, but to each their own. Once she starts talking to him about it is when shit hits the fan. There's like some type of quake or something, and like they see a bunch of what they assume is birds in the distance, and then Cass is like,
oh, bitch.
Them not birds.
Them not birds. Bitch. It was bad. It was like a whole sea of like black coming at them.
Yes.
And she says that these creatures, they look like the Ators, and they dropped the queen that gave them the other half of the boat.
Oh, the gold queen.
Dropped her. They fucking impaled her on one of the spikes on the bridge.
They tortured this woman, pulled out her eyes, and then they dropped her for treason. Not treason, but for betrayal. They felt like she betrayed the queens by giving them the book.
It makes me believe even more that the queens are working with Hybern.
Oh, most
like
definitely.
They have some type of deal with them.
The moment that happened, I was like, bet they're with Hybern. Most definitely. I was like, most definitely. Basically, all hell breaks loose. Basically, it's an attack on Valaris. So what went down, and this is what I'm theorizing, is the queens are working with Hybern. They asked Rhys for proof, knowing that he was going to give up something, knowing that he was probably going to give up Valaris, so that they could figure out where Valaris was, so that they could winnow those fucking creatures to Valaris, and then winnow the soldiers, winnow the Hybern soldiers to Valaris to have basically a massacre. At that point in time, Cassian is like, fuck that. So he goes ahead, he tells Feyre to run back to the townhouse, but he starts to protect Valaris with all of his siphons and all of his magic. Then Amran starts to do the exact same thing on her end. She's on the other side of Valaris. Then I believe they see a blue light, which means it's Azriel.
And she was like, well, fuck this. Like, this is my home too. Like, I'm going to fight for my home.
Right.
This bitch was ride or die for real. She was out there fucking it up.
She really was. So at this point in time, she was like, I know what to do with my powers. So then she ends up running from place to place, helping as many people as she can. And finally, she finds the Ator. So the Ator is there. And she's like, bet. That one's mine.
Right. And this bitch is running away. He's running away to go back to Hybern to like pretty much tell them. And she's like, oh, fuck no, I can't have that.
So then she winnows from where she is to a rooftop to get closer to the Ator. And I think she like winnows to him. And she ends up flying.
And then I think she's like right on top of him in the air.
Yeah, so she stabs him and she's like, that's for Claire. Then that's for Rhys.
This is for me.
Yes. Then she burns the thing. So then she hugs him, sets herself on fire, sets him on fire, and then they like basically drop out of the sky, and she's waiting till the last minute to winnow out so that he goes kersplat on the ground.
Kirkpatrick! Right on the fucking pavement.
And he does.
But first of all, can we talk about how this bitch is Jack Jack?
She is. She's Jack Jack from The Incredibles.
How did we not know? How did we not figure this out sooner?
She definitely is Jack Jack. I didn't think about that. Yes.
Right.
So basically, if you really want to think about it, if you wanted to visualize the fight that she had with the Ator is when Jack Jack has that fight with the raccoon. She hears, so when she winnows out, she hears the kersplat and she knows, all right, he's dead. So she's like slouched against the wall, and of course, here comes Death Incarnate, because he's amazing. And
oh my god, she was like, the sky went black. I was like,
what I envisioned was basically like just a dark ass inky black cloud shifting, and like that was it. Like that was the last you saw of those damn soldiers. Like that was it. Like Rhys kneels down, you know, in front of her and like strokes her cheek. And then he basically says, Feyre Cursebreaker, the defender of the rainbow.
And I was like, oh my God. I was like, first of all, love the new name.
Yes.
Love it. But that's where we ended that's where I kind of ended. Ashley read the whole damn book. That's where we ended for this episode. And I was just like, damn, for 5,000 years, this city has stood untouched, protected, unknown. And the moment that he decides to trust somebody, people do him dirty. This is why he acts the way he does. Because y'all bitches don't know how to fucking treat him with respect.
Basically.
Don't put some fucking respect on his name. He tries. This is the image that he has to portray for y'all to not fuck with his shit.
Yeah, essentially.
That's a lot of curse words. I'm gonna have to
edit that.
I'm gonna have to cut those out. I have to edit those
that.
curses. That's a lot.
But I agree. So like this exact betrayal is the reason why he didn't want to do what he did. But he was thinking I'm doing it for the greater good. And these mortal queens just went ahead and they were like,
man, fuck the greater good at that point.
Right, exactly. Only one of those queens actually had dignity and grace, and she was killed, basically.
Right.
But I will say, the one thing that I really, really liked out of the book so far are the fight scenes. When we get into the fight scenes, it's really good. It's very well written. Very well. And very fast paced. Like, you feel like, if you're envisioning it, you kind of feel like it's a movie. Like, you're just going. I really like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. I also like that we finally got the feelings.
Oh, yeah.
The touchy-feelies from Reese and for Feyre.
It wasn't just one-sided shit, and it wasn't just like, oh, does he like me? Does he not like me? I don't know. Like, that type of thing.
Yeah. Oh, is this in this chapter? Or, oh, no. It's the next chapter. Never mind. Because I read chapter 60.
Oh, okay.
So we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. But yeah, that's basically all that we have for this episode. The next episode is going to be our final episode on A Court of Mist and Fury. That actually went by pretty fast too. I'm not gonna lie.
No, it did. The amount of chapters we were reading and the fast pace of the book, it went by really quickly. It
went by super. And this book is
thick,
boy. It's thick as a bowl of oatmeal.
Thicker than a Snicker. It's thick.
Which makes A Court of Wings and Ruin look like, god damn. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. But as always, thank you, everyone, for joining in and for listening and reading with us. We love you and appreciate you so very much.
Yes, we love you guys. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for voting, because now we can continue. Because I was more than happy to continue.
I guess.
And thank you guys for interacting with us, because when we hear and see the stuff on IG and when we hear and see the stuff on TikTok, it's great to know that people like us. You like us. You really, really like us.
You really like us. It does. It means the world to us, you guys. Like, thank you so much.
Especially because we started this out just as kind of like, hey, we think that a niche is needed and like we want to do a podcast, and we really didn't think much of it. And now we've made amazing friends. People interact with us. People talk to us. Like, you know, they make jokes. They're like, hey, you guys are hilarious. And that's all we really wanted. We wanted this podcast to be funny and hilarious and review books that you guys are salivating over. And so, I mean, do you want to say Finger Licking Good? Because Finger Licking Good was really good.
No, salivating is good. We can use salivating.
But with that, we just want to say thank you guys for joining us, and always stay YA at heart.
Bye.